So chapter 5 and chapter no, chapter 6 and chapter 8 talk about organizational culture. Organizational culture is seen as assumptions, values, and symbols, which provide important insights into how culture operates. So, in the work environment, culture could be the way someone is dressed, the way someone talks, some ways of how we act, and stuff like that. Um, so, more on a professional level of culture, um, you have to know what's okay and what's not okay. For example, in a work culture, you're not allowed to hug in front of customers. You could hug in the break room or like on the stock room and stuff, but with your friends, like and stuff like that. You should know how you're supposed to talk to your managers, how you're supposed to talk to people and stuff like that. However, there are some exceptions when it comes to working because I talk fluent Spanish. Spanish was my first language, but most people didn't see that. And when they call me up for like a backup, I talk with a person that talks Spanish, you know? I work with someone that talks Spanish, and one time I was helping out a customer, nothing but Spanish. And the other customer that was next in line was just staring at me with like these evil eyes, like, why are you talking that language? You know, like, give me dirty looks, like, basically judging me, you know? So when I said I could help him next, and I started talking fluent English and without being, without an accent and stuff, he became like, wow, like, she could really talk that well, you know? Because there's a lot of assumptions, like I said, assumptions being made with people, and it's sad, you know, but it's good to know that they're not always going to be so hesitant to accepting change and accepting others. um so one time, and this is not just, not just at work, but in the outside world, now that people have been more open about what they feel. We went to Mexico one day, and there was a car in a pump, and it's like a Quick Trip or any gas station. The lady was parked in the second one, and there was the first one in front of her, like in front of the gas, like the gas station place, the little mini market. So my dad went around and he pulled in reverse to be in front of that car. And she started saying that there was a line that we had to wait. And my dad's like, there was no line to start with, you know? So she starts calling him a jackass and telling him that he's horrible for doing that. And he says she's basically telling him he should not be there. And it gets me so mad while I'm talking about it. It gets me so emotional. Um, it's not fair that people could just talk to you like that. Um, and I kept telling my dad, I was like, no, dad, you pump gas, you pump gas. Like, you let her tell you whatever, like, whatever she wants. She's the one that's looking bad, you know? And she starts calling, and she starts saying, like, oh, I need to move my car, I'm gonna honk my horn at you. She started making a big deal, telling other people what's going on. She's telling everybody my dad's a jackass. And my dad just keeps pumping his ass about his own business and telling him, like, shut up and stuff like that. And then another lady comes in and says, I have kids in the car, don't do that. Like, why I don't talk to my kids like that. He's just pumping gas, blah, blah, blah. And she starts honking her horn and causing a whole scene. And she gets in her car, my dad's just pumping gas, and she pulls out and she says, go back to Mexico, that's where you belong. How was that okay? I think that's got really personal, but it's just to have you realize that culture isn't just about a work environment. It's not about, oh my God, it's not about work environment. It's not about anything else. It's about knowing where you belong and knowing how to handle situations. You know, like in an organization, if you see someone acting rudely, you're not going to act rude back, but you're obviously going to stand up for who you are and what you believe in, you know? And that's what my job has taught me. They don't discriminate based on gender and like that. They'll defend us 100%. It just sucks that it doesn't occur outside of the world, you know? And that's usually what culture is. It's not accepting who other people are. So that's a negative thing. A positive thing is I've gone so off track and I apologize, but one positive thing is don't really know any positive things. Well, on the top of my head, except for it makes us more aware of what our surroundings are like. It makes us more aware of how people portray us. We're more cautious to doing things a certain way, so we don't feel judged and stuff like that. That's how I see culture. But organizational culture, like in the book says, is nowhere near what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like discrimination, and that's a whole other topic. But I don't really have that much to say about organizational culture. Anyways, they kept talking about leaders able to shape culture. And that's very true because the leader sets the example, like I've been saying. They set the ground, they set the rules of how things are supposed to be ran and how they like things run, like in a company or stuff like that. For example, when I was a department supervisor, I would want things to go a certain place or things to look a certain way or to be kept up with the shorts or have them keep up with the dresses and stuff like that. But lately, it's just, well, not lately, but so if they didn't keep up with that, I would have to be the leader and, obviously take over that and, you know, change the signs and keep it clean because others weren't going to do it. And like Jordan said it defines and sets the mood for, not the mood, but the overall plan for the designated department in my place. I mean, in my situation. And like Alex says, they serve as a role model because they're trustworthy. If you're not trustworthy, you lose all credibility as well. So just little things like that. Chapter 8 talks about, no, chapter 6? I was talking about leader. Chapter 8. Okay, so chapter 6, leadership and influence. So leaders do have an influence on society. Definitely. Like team captains, they have influences on their teams. For example, I'm not sure for example, today, Portugal played Mexico. A Mexico fan, but Cristiano Ronaldo, the world's best soccer player alongside Lionel Messi. Beautiful soccer players. He's captain. He sets the example for how he wants his team run. He says, okay, we're going to go out and we're going to win this game. Or, hey, I think you should pull back and wait for the forward to come approach you. Just little things like that, like in the huddles and stuff. That's leadership. It influences others to want the same things as you. And stuff like that. So like look, dimensions and challenges of credibility. So yeah, it does do your credibility stuff. I'm trying to see what I want to go over. I read the things, but there's some things that I really do want to go over. They mainly just talked about the leadership stuff. Oh, I have more things here. Influencing some leaders must shape the attitudes of behavior of others to help groups reach their goals. For example, if you have a negative attitude in a group, your whole group performance is gonna go down the drain. They're either gonna accept you or reject you. And I like being accepted, but when I show a lack of involvement and engagement in certain things, that makes me seem a little irresponsible and a little like I don't care, but I really do. It's just there's certain things that just aren't okay with me and as a person and stuff like that. Four sets of influence tools are credibility, compliance, argumentation, and negotiation. So the way I see compliance is gaining strategies. Compliance is like coming to an agreement, sort of, right? I sound really iffy about that. I don't even sound confident in that answer, and that's really bad. Argumentation competencies. I would say that's an argument or like a disagreement you have with your group members and how you're gonna solve that. And negotiation is basically you don't agree, but you want to see how you could adjust to a certain situation or talk about other options because there's always another option. It is critical to the strategy of study of communication and leadership is credibility. And it talks about ethos, which is credibility. And I learned this in Com 100, ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos is about credibility. Logos is logic. And then pathos is because you're going to like sympathize or something, like through passive. I think that's what it was. Ethos consists of high moral standards, intelligence, and other speaker character traits, like Aristotle and Plato and Socrates would talk about. So ethos, high moral standards, intelligence. High moral standards will basically be how you were raised. If you know that you're supposed to, how should I say this? I know as a 21 going on 22-year-old, I know that school is my main priority. You know, getting good grades is my moral standard. If I get bad grades, that's not okay. That's immoral. Is that a word? I need to look this up. That's something I would look at as a moral. Oh, immortal. No, that's not immortal. I'm not immortal. Nobody is immortal. Immoral. Moral. Immoral? Yes. There we go. Unethical. There we go. So it's so it's not my standards. It's ethics. It's, so how would I use this an example of my moral standards, ethic, right? Knowing right from wrong. Well, I've done a lot of those. I've done a lot of things that involve that, but I can't think of one example. Maybe one example would be when I didn't tell, but I kind of put one of my coworkers in their place because she wasn't helping us with go backs on a gray cart, and it wasn't fair. So I had to make sure I talked to her first, and then if they kept continuing, I would talk to my manager. And I think that was an ethical thing to do because it's not fair that others are hustling and doing their job while she's just walking around talking to who knows who or doing whatever, you know? So I thought that was one great example about it. But yeah, I saw their part of it. I couldn't really relate to what they were saying because they see Alex had mentioned a show he was watching, and so did Jordan, and I've never seen those shows, so I really don't know what they were talking about, which is kind of sometimes why I feel not comfortable talking about them comfortable talking to them about my stuff and like my experiences and stuff, because right now that it's just this has gone really personal. But I just feel so comfortable talking about it to just like basically myself, but to you, Professor. Just feel so comfortable talking about it, and I think it's what I needed. Just need somebody to talk, and it's kind of weird because I should be talking about this with my group, but I can't open up like this to my group because I'm talking to two guys that know nothing about what it's like to be a woman, Hispanic woman especially. So, but maybe my experiences will help them relate to other situations too. I'm gonna keep that in mind. Well, that's it.